I'm here with Robert Benson. Robert is the author of many best-selling books, including Living Prayer and Dancing on the Head of a Pen. Robert, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be with you.
Maybe we can start off, Robert, by having you tell us how you first learned about Frederick Buechner.
My father brought home a book, and it was The Sacred Journey, which was Mr. Bittner's first autobiographical book. And when I was very young, I ended up, in my early years, making a bedroom out of my father's study downstairs because there were so many children. And I used to steal books off of his shelves and read them. And so I read it, and that's where I was first introduced to him.
What would you say attracts you the most about his writing?
Oh, two things. One is the caliber of the writing itself. The second is he was talking about things that somewhere deep in my heart I believe to be true about the life of faith, but had never heard anybody articulate at all. And so it was just kind of a wondrous thing. In fact, I've made on page 7 of the original edition of The Sacred Journey, the last paragraph of the introduction, I have spent my entire life, where he talks about my photograph album. And once I've closed my album, then perhaps you will, even best of all, open up yours. And I've made a writing life out of that paragraph, frankly.
Well, I can certainly believe that, Robert, and it shows through your writing too. And I guess my next question kind of follows on that, for you to talk a little bit about how he's influenced your career.
Beginning with that paragraph, I grew up thinking, it was a long time. It was, 20 years, 25 years before I began to write full time. But beginning with that paragraph, I always wanted to live. He was the mark on the wall. And I was always trying to write to that kind of mark. Years later, I got to meet him. I got to spend 4 days with him in Texas at a retreat, and discovered that he was exactly the same person in person that he was on the page. There was nothing about him that surprised me. The way his hands felt when we shook him, the way his eyes looked at you, the tone and timbre of his voice, the way he led the retreat, the way he acted at table, the way he walked up and down the hill back and forth to the lodge, to the dining room. Nothing surprised me. He was exactly what he was on the page. And so I have tried to live up to that my entire writing life.
So in addition to Sacred Journey, of his many books, which ones in particular have meant the most to you?
Well, I love Now and Then. I love Brendan. I love Godric. I loved Son of Laughter. Still love Son of Laughter. So those are probably my favorites. If somebody asked me to give you, if I was going to give somebody a stack of Buechner books, to start them, that's where I would start. Yeah.
So you've read many books yourself, and are there any specific ones or parts of some of your books that you can draw parallels to some of Mr. Buechner's work?
Oh, gosh.
Besides the paragraph in Sacred Journey.
Yeah. No. Well, it would be terribly presumptuous of myself to draw any parallels to him. At one point, Mr. Buechner gave a series of lectures when he was teaching, and he talked about people having the heart to tell the truth about themselves, and that's what mattered the most. And those were the writers that he cheered for. And so I think I have tried to be that sort of writer as best I can.
So what would you say his influence has been on Christianity and the world at large?
He is influencing the influencers. And I have seen that over and over and over again. If you mention, it doesn't matter where I go on the road and where I work. And if you mention Bittner, the priest or the pastor will tell you how much he has meant to them and help shape their thought and the way that they write and the way that they work.
Well, Robert, this has really been great. We really appreciate you taking some time to speak with us about Mr. Buechner. Thank you so much.
I'm more than happy to. Thank you.